Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's been a very, very long time, so welcome back to the Messy Draw podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, we are the Messy Draw podcast. The resident podcasters, myself, Najma. We have Sharon and Arifa. Tonight we have a very special guest, my very good friend, my dearest Abby.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Abby.
For this episode, we are talking about everyone's favorite topic, situationships. We've all been in it. No one has enjoyed it, but some of us will probably be in it again.
Hopefully not.
Okay, to start first, what do you guys think? What comes to mind when you hear the word situationship?
Let Abby go first.
Oh God. I don't know, I guess probably like dating without it going anywhere kind of thing. Like you're not sure where you stand in terms of whether you're going to like put a label on it or if you're actually kind of seriously dating the person that you're talking to. I'd say it's kind of stuck in the talking to phase rather than like actually a relationship.
The dreaded talking stage.
See, the way you've defined it and how Najma started off the podcast saying we've all been in that situation. If it's not knowing where you stand, I've never been in that. I just don't like not knowing where I stand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. I don't know. I think as a girl anyway, I think for me, it would be if there's that like stereotype or whatever of girls being crazy and like, you know, guys not liking commitment and girls wanting commitment kind of thing. If you say, oh, can we be boyfriend and girlfriend too soon, then they'll get scared. Or, you know, if you try and push the where are we going conversation too quickly, then, you know, it won't go right or something like that. So not that I've been in that situation a lot, but, you know, you might just start finding that balance of like, you know, before you say, oh, can we have this conversation? You know, how long should, you know, you be seeing each other or whatever before you kind of say, you know, are we boyfriend and girlfriend?
But from what you said, some guys, I've had this many times when a girl asks them, yeah, what are we, like, are we in a relationship? They act all brand new, like, calm down.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how about we've been going on dates? How about, like, you're checking up on
They
me?
look at you like you're crazy. Like, are you okay? What are you talking about? Like, somehow you made all of this up in your head, when in reality you haven't.
Yeah, oh, 100%.
What do you guys think is an adequate talking time before it turns into a relationship and the situationship is over?
I think it's different for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'd
But
say
I also think
maybe a couple of months.
how long you've known the guy for.
Really, a couple months?
For me, yeah, I think so. Depends who they are. Like if I've met them, you know, new completely and they're a stranger, then yeah, longer.
Yeah,
but if they're someone I know already, then probably not. You know, it depends on what kind of conversations you've had already.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, for like a new person, probably a couple of months, I think, before. I don't like to, you know, go straight in, like saying, yeah, you're my boyfriend or...
No, that's fair. It's a complete stranger.
I think, like, when it comes to ethnic people, we love a long talking stage. Jesus, they'd be lost in 6 years.
Why is
I'm like,
that?
what else is there to say? You've talked it all out.
True. Would you say that because you're the one that's in a long-term serious relationship, how long were you and Matthew talking?
Matthew and I've met him brand new, so he wasn't one of any of my friends or whatever. We were dating like about 3 months before we got into a relationship.
3 months, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
But we
I thought
dated
it was
intensely. It wasn't like I wasn't seeing anyone else, he wasn't seeing anyone else. We would go out almost once, twice a week.
Sorry to switch the subject. See how you said it, like no one was seeing each other. Like, what do you think about like when people say like when you should be dating other people? I don't get that. Like, I feel like how do we get to that stage of commitment if we're dating other people?
Okay, I think you should be dating other people if, for example, you are looking to get into a relationship, you've reached a certain age in your life when you're looking to get into a relationship. I think you should go on maybe couple of first, second dates. But from the moment you start building something with one person, you should not be dating other people.
Even if they're not your boyfriend yet, right? Because I mean, how are you going to get to that stage? You have to prove to someone that, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I've made that mistake in the past for sure when I've been dating some people. And, you know, I think it's all about communication. For me, I just made the assumption that none of them wanted anything serious with me. And then when one of them didn't, but two of them did. And when the other two found out that I was dating other people, it all like kicked off. And I was like, oh shit. Because they were very like, well, you know, I thought we were seeing each other. I thought we were like, you know, dating, etc. And I sort of then dug myself a hole that I couldn't really get out of, because I was like, well, yeah, you're right. Like, you know, I don't know how, I can't defend what I've done at this point. You know, I'm in too deep now. So yeah, I ended up working with none of them because obviously, you know, one of them didn't want a casual thing. Did want a casual thing, and the other two didn't want a casual, they wanted more. And then because I assumed that they didn't, because I didn't want to have that conversation with them, because in my head I was like, nah, they're not going to want anything, they're going to want just chill. I then sort of acted on the assumption that they didn't want anything more, and then obviously continued to see other people. Not that I was, you know, actively trying to see other people or anything, but it was just that if something happened. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, yeah, they didn't like it when they found out basically that, yeah, it was me being the rude one.
It's not being rude, it's not, but that's the thing though, you have to talk about things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like, well, if I've been seeing you for 4 weeks, you should know that I'm not sleeping with other people. But you know that for people, it's individual. For someone might think, yeah, I'm really not official, therefore I do my thing. But for me, if I am the kind of person, if I've been seeing you for 4 weeks, I'm not seeing anyone else. And I expect you, if you were doing that when we met, you'll probably stop, because this is kind of going somewhere for us.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Are you like all, you know, seeing each other, then that's it? Or are you kind of wait till the conversation is had and then decide?
I'm a one person girl. I can't talk to more than one person at a time. I think that's just because I can't keep up. Like,
it is hard work. In fairness, it is.
Did you ever get any of their names mixed up when you were talking to three guys?
No, I never got any names mixed up. To be fair, none of them were actually like strangers or anyone like I'd met on like dating apps or anything. They were actually all friends and people that I knew already. So it was a weird situation, because it wasn't like yeah, I don't really know how to explain it. Yeah, it wasn't like I was going on dating apps and talking to loads of different people. It genuinely was, I knew them all individually, and it just kind of happened between them. But I also was not going through a great place at the time anyway, because I'd just broken up with my boyfriend, and it was kind of like sort of a bit of a rebound hope phase, I guess. And I wasn't really interested in, you know, getting into anything with anyone else. But obviously, as I said, they weren't on the same page. So yeah, the communication.
We advocate for whole phase.
Again?
We advocate for the whole phase.
Yeah. A hoe phase is definitely needed, 100%. I think, you know, I think I was like 19 at the time, so I think it was a good age to get the hoe phase out of the way. Like, you know, just do it, have fun, whatever, you know. My mum was supportive. Bless her. But yeah, obviously it did sort of backfire, so I did learn my lesson a little bit, but also I wouldn't have changed it, because, you know, it wasn't ever gonna get anywhere, you know.
Amen.
So, yeah.
But how would you navigate getting out of a situationship?
Communication.
Yeah, that's it.
Lack of communication is what got you there in the first place. Talk, open your mouth. I don't know why we're so scared to, like, this is very rich coming from me, to be vulnerable. We're so vulnerable and like saying how you feel. But I don't play when it comes to my feelings. Those feelings, like, I want to be honest.
I think a lot of people are scared to have that conversation. Like you're right. People are scared to have the conversation because girls are painted out as being desperate for a relationship, and boys are painted out as being, you know, not ready to settle down. So a girl's like, if I say something, is he going to get scared off? Is he going to? Yeah.
This idea of scaring men off is so stupid. Unless he's a dog, he shouldn't be scared off. Like, what's wrong with you?
100%.
Right? And if having a
How can
conversation,
men get away with it though? Do you know when you start talking to a guy, like he's so onto you, like he wants to see you every minute of every day, they get away with it. And if he asks you like 2 weeks later to be his girlfriend, he gets away with it. But if you ask him 2 weeks later to be,
You're desperate.
you know, and yeah, you're the desperate one. You're the crazy one.
that's so
The
true.
audacity of men, honestly. Every day I find myself saying the fucking audacity of men. Just, but yeah, no, I think communication. I think as well it's something that comes with you as you get older. Like, I think looking at me now at 24, back when I was like 19, 20 and dating more, like now I wouldn't be scared to say anything. I just feel like, do you know what, if you're scared off or you say you change your mind about what you want or whatever, then, you know, on your bike, like I don't care. You know, you're obviously not the right person or the person I want to be with. But obviously when you're younger, you're more like, oh, you know, you are more conscious of what people think of you. Absolutely. And what boys think of you. I think everyone has that, well, maybe not everyone, but certainly for me, I had that phase where I was not as confident and not as sure of myself.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think if a boy said or did something I don't like or don't want in a partner, then I would not be scared to say anything. But looking back on younger me, I would have never said anything, or I you know, like looking back, I've let guys get away with a lot of stuff that now just would not fly, because, you know, you learn to love yourself and, like, you know, don't ever lower your standards for somebody else, 100%. Least of all a man.
We live and we learn.
A lot of people stay in long talking stages or situationships because they know that the guy doesn't want anything serious, or he still wants to have his whatever that is that he has. And the women know if you ask him, he will run away. So they would settle for the breadcrumbs he's given them rather than be straight up and he leaves.
100%. 100%. I've not too many girlfriends that are in situations just because that's what the boy wants. So they convince themselves that that's what I want as well. Until later on, in conversations, you do pick up what people really actually mean to me if you are reasoning. But yeah, most of the time we convince ourselves that if that's what he wants, then I can get okay with it, you know?
Yeah, been there, and you guys were the ones to tell me, no, you look like an idiot.
Listen to your girlfriends, ladies. If your girlfriends tell you, girl, this is not you, get out of this, please listen.
Like,
have you guys been in that situation?
Yeah.
No, not me personally. But I have seen friends that have been with boys that have treated them like crap, and they've just gone back and gone back and gone back, and I'm like, I just, you know, I get that not everyone has that mindset, and it's easier said than done. Like, I'm thankful I've never been in that situation, so it's easy to look as an outsider to be like, what the hell, why would you want to do that? But obviously when you're in that situation, it's completely different. But I've tried to pull so many friends out before, situations where they've been with a guy who's just treats them absolutely disgustingly, and they just carried on. Like, one girl I know, she was dating this guy who she found out that he had been sending messages to all his friends saying that she was a slut because she was having sex with him, and like calling her a whore, and like saying all this disgusting stuff about her to his mates to seem cool and, like, you know, laddish. And they're still together, and I'm like, and she, you know, she got pregnant and had an abortion of his baby and everything. Like, they've been through so much stuff, and that even though I'm not in contact with her anymore, I know they're still together through social media, and she just never listened. And it was like, okay, I don't know what else I can say or do, because, you know, if you want to keep going back, you want to keep going back.
Yeah.
But yeah, just,
and you feel shitty because you don't want to give up on them.
Yeah.
But I think a lesson from that as well is you can warn your girlfriends, like, time and time again, and if they don't listen, then that's a lesson they have to learn for themselves, and they have to get out of it when they're ready. And at the same time, like, us as the friend shouldn't put our mental health or whatever in jeopardy, because it can get tiring when you have to hear the same story again and again and again.
Yeah, and I think there is definitely something to be said for, especially in, like, relationships and stuff, is putting yourself first sometimes. Like, it's okay to be a little bit selfish occasionally, because otherwise it's just going to only detriment you. It's not going to affect anyone else. It'll only affect you. So.
I think to anyone who's in a whatever situationship, there's a lack of self-respect for you. I think if you you might be young and you don't realize what you're doing. You might be, he might give you something that no one else has offered you before. But from the moment you realize what you're getting is really the bare minimum, and you realize your own value, you don't really let that happen to you.
Yeah.
And a lot of women, unfortunately, who are in the situations are maybe insecure, maybe have had other toxic relationships, maybe he's given them something. Like there are men who don't necessarily cheat or do anything like that, but they do everything else wrong. And because a woman has been cheated on many times before, he looks and he says, well, I'm not cheating on you, therefore you should accept other bullshit and throw it away.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a lot of things, you know, because sometimes the relationship itself is not toxic, but sometimes just because the relationship is not toxic,
It's not good enough.
It's not good enough, but you're still forcing yourself to be like, well, he's not treating me bad, so do you know what I mean?
It's also not treating you good.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's definitely me. That is younger me to a
But he's
T.
not treating you bad either. It's no matter.
Yeah, and that's when it gets sticky, because you're like, I've got no reason to not like this guy, but at the same time, like, if you don't feel fulfilled, then you've got no business being in that relationship.
Okay, what would you say? What are the telltale signs that you are in a situationship?
I think anything where you're scared to communicate, if you're scared to say, I want more, or I want this, or I want whatever you want, if you're scared to say something, then definitely.
Some people are private, so maybe that doesn't count. Because I was gonna say, if he never shows you off on social media, but some people are private.
Okay, that I get. But if you never meet any of his friends or family,
yeah,
yes,
something's up.
Definitely.
But then again, Najma, there's some people that are in a relationship that are keeping it private because of the community.
I agree with that. However, to an extent, I do also think, again, I don't come from a particularly religious background or hugely cultural background or any kind of rules and regulations when it comes to relationships. So I probably am looking at this a little bit biased. But having seen friends who are in that situation, I do also think that to an extent, obviously you do obviously want to respect your family's values and what you've been brought up in. But if you really, really, really think that the person you're with is the person you really want to be with, then there shouldn't be kind of any restrictions or any feeling like you shouldn't say anything or can't do this or can't do that. Like,
no, but fine, I get family.
You are your own person. Like,
no, but I get family. Like being ethnic, I can 100% relate. Like we might not introduce people to our family no matter how much we are convinced. But what about your friends? Because I introduce whoever I'm with to my friends immediately if I think it's serious.
I mean, that's the normal thing to do, isn't it? Because you want your friends to be excited with you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, some of these girls never met this guy's friend.
I don't know. Well, right now there's a pandemic, so that's the excuse.
Yeah, that's true. I think if you don't want to say, I do get where you're coming from on the social media thing. However, I wouldn't say I'm a particularly huge relationship social media person. Yeah. I personally think that a lot of relationships that are plastered all over social media aren't actually the most successful or the most happy ones. They tend
even like a little story on his birthday.
They want everyone to think that they're in a really happy relationship and want everyone to know that they're in a relationship, but actually behind closed doors it's really not as nice and as successful as you think it is.
My relationship, I don't really put it on social media. I mean, everyone who's on my social media knows I'm in a relationship, but it's not a constant thing. Like we go on holidays, before lockdown we did quite a lot, but I just wouldn't, there was no need for me to share it with the world. I was making memories, and if you went on my social media, you would know that I'm in a relationship, a very long term relationship, but it was never anything. So I think there's a balance. You can show someone off without shoving it down other people's throats.
Relationship, like one of the red flags is like your gut instinct. If your gut instinct tells you this man isn't looking for a relationship, trust your gut instinct. Like 9 out of 10 times it's right.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that as well.
If you are
I've been in a situation, you can feel when it's not going to progress. At that point, if you want it to progress and you feel like it's not, and he hasn't made the move and you've tried bringing it up, then just dip, because nothing's going to change.
Nope. basically, if there's any form of confusion to where you stand, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you when you say that, but I feel like sometimes you actually can communicate and work on that. Sometimes you can work on it.
After you attempt to communicate, if there's still a confusion, then
Yeah, I think it's the attempting to communicate. Like, obviously, there is always that initial reservation. Like, even if you want to communicate and you know that's the right thing to do, like, there's always going to be that little bit of, oh God, like, if I say something, is this all going to go wrong? Like, but it's the difference between feeling that way and still doing it and not doing it at all and avoiding the situation. Because if you do say something and then after that, you're still not getting what you want and you're still not feeling like you've got anywhere, then obviously that is then when there's an issue. But until you've had that conversation, then you can, unless you've made clear what you want, you can't hold it against your partner or potential partner, that you're not getting that because you haven't said it. Like, they're not going to know until you say. It
also depends on how long the situation has been going. You've been talking to this person for a whole year and you don't know what they want to do in the future. You don't know where their plans are. You don't know where they are going in life. Then there's no space for you in that future. You know what? You're a human being. As an adult, you should know right from wrong. And you know when things are not the way they should be.
You know when you're forcing something. Period, point blank. Stop forcing it.
Okay. Yeah. How would you get out of a situationship? What is the ways to navigate out of it when you have been in there for so long?
Aretha?
I'm not gonna lie, I just block. I'm just like
block.
I mean, that is a good way to go, to be fair.
Like attempted to progress, or I've waited for something to happen for it to progress and it hasn't. I just did.
But did you communicate that though before you blocked them?
Some I have, some I haven't, because I knew, my gut told me it wasn't working. It's not that serious to me. Like, I was nice about it. I was like, look, like, let's leave it here, and then straight block. The best way to get over a situationship or any sort of relationship, really.
I believe in that. I
don't know. But what if you know them? You can't just block them in life.
Out of sight, out of mind.
What if they're like a friend? You go into university, school with them. They can't be out of sight. Then what?
I don't know, man.
In that situation.
To be fair, actually, I'm kind of in that situation at the moment because so I've been best friends with this guy for like 8 years now. Like, we've literally known each other since we were in secondary school. And he has been, so I was dating someone in our friendship group for a while. And then when we went off to university, he was in a long-term relationship with his girlfriend. And then after they broke up, we sort of creeped towards maybe something happening, but it kind of never did. It was mainly on my terms that it never really happened. But then in the last kind of year or so, we sort of were actually maybe wanting to go somewhere. And then I said to him, I want a relationship. And he sort of, at first, made it clear that's what he wanted as well. And he was like, I've liked you for ages, you know that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I did know that because obviously it was on my terms and nothing happened originally. And then he sort of was very much like blowing hot and cold. Like, one minute he'd be like, yeah, like, I really want a relationship. And he'd be talking about living together and being serious and blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as I made any kind of conversation or, said, oh, this, like, I want a relationship or I want something serious and blah, 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 he'd then like do anything he could to avoid the conversation. And then eventually we ended up literally maybe like a few weeks ago having a huge argument because he basically turned around and said to me, actually, I don't want a relationship. And I was like, well, what the hell have we been doing all this time then? Because as far as I was concerned, it was going to happen. And obviously, things like living far apart and COVID and etc. kind of got in the way. And I sort of accepted that it would happen at some point, and then for it to suddenly turn around and not happen, I was very like, what the heck? And that's when it's difficult to navigate, because it's like, I've been friends with you for so long and I trust you so much, you know so much about me. I don't want to just completely, block altogether, because that's losing a friend. But also I'm really I've just not spoken to him for a few weeks because I've just really struggled to deal with the fact that suddenly we've gone from, I think we'll be together, to nothing at all, and him saying, no, I don't want a relationship. I'm like, I don't know if that constitutes a situationship or not, because it was a really kind of strange scenario to be in.
Anything confusing is.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say, Najma, a lot of people might be in situationships because they are being led on.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. Most people don't know they are, but I think there are telltale signs that you can see. He's making last minute plans. He is cancelling on you. A lot of things a lot contradictory that you think, wait, what's going on here? I think you just need to realize, okay, is this person wasting my time? Some of them will straight up, some men tell you, I want a relationship when they know they don't want a relationship. But because I think you just need to realize what's happening and connect the dots. We're all smart ladies. Connect the dots.
Yeah, but people are stupid when they're in love, though, aren't they?
yeah, love is blind, as they say. Love is really.
That's why we're here telling our friends, you've got no business being with this man, but she's going back for the umpteenth time, and you.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, we're gonna wrap it up. Is there anything you guys want to add to? Is there anything we missed?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, cool. Thank you guys again for joining us, and thank you so much for Abby. You might see her face again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
And stay messy.
Stay messy.
Bye.
See ya.